Within this PowerPoint, we're going to summarize all the 6 nutrients that we learned about and talk about how to put them all together, how to pick out the right foods to eat, how to read food labels. We have to make sure that we're maintaining a healthy weight, and in order to do so, we have to not only eat healthy with a combination of the 6 nutrients that we've learned about, but also we have to keep moving, and we have to maintain our physical activity every single day. Minimum required is about 30 minutes per day for adults, 60 minutes or more per day for children. But we have to balance the calories we're putting in with the calories that we're expending. So here's the percentages of what we should be consuming in our diet. Of all the food that we eat, 100% of the food we eat, 60% of that should be carbs, 20% fat, 20% protein. We have to make sure we're getting 100% of the recommended daily allowance for all the vitamins and minerals, and a minimum of 10 glasses of water per day. So about 60% of all the foods we eat in a day should be carbohydrates, and we have to make sure they're the healthy type of carbohydrates, not the unhealthy processed carbohydrates. So the carbohydrates we should be eating are the whole grains, the vegetables, and the fruits. We should have a minimum of 5 fruits and vegetables a day, up to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And we should have a minimum of 3 servings of whole grains per day. So we have to avoid the processed carbs, the white breads and the white pastas and the white rice and the sugars and the bakery. What we want to eat are the whole natural foods that we find in grains and also fruits and vegetables. We want to consume at least 8 ounces of healthy proteins per day, and here's some options. The best ones are probably the colorful fish. Also, we could find poultry like chicken, pheasant, or turkey. Pork is another option, and then we find lots of protein in non-animal sources like beans, nuts, seeds, soy. There's a lot of protein in cottage cheese, but we want to limit the red meats and the fatty type of meats that have excess calories. So again, the best options would be non-animal sources of protein or also fish and poultry. Fat is great, and we have to make sure that we're consuming enough of the healthy fats. We want to avoid the unhealthy fats, like the saturated fats, and the worst of the fats would be trans fat or hydrogenated oil. But we have to make sure we're eating the healthy fats that are found in nuts, seeds, and fish or sea vegetables. And those healthy fats will prevent heart disease. They'll also prevent mental illnesses and cognitive decline. So they're very healthy to eat, and we need to make sure we're getting at least 1 to 2 servings of those per day. We need to make sure we're getting all the vitamins and minerals that we need in a day, and in order to do so, what we have to do is eat natural, healthy, colorful foods. If we ate 5 servings of fruit, 5 servings of vegetables, a couple servings of fish each week, nuts and seeds every day, in these natural, healthy foods, we would get a significant amount of vitamins and minerals, and we wouldn't even need to take supplements. But we have to make sure that we're eating those type of foods in order to get all the vitamins and minerals we need. Making sure we're very hydrated is important, especially as it runs our metabolism. If we're dehydrated, our metabolism is going to be slow, and we're actually going to weigh more than we actually should weigh. So keeping hydration is very important for all the functions of the body, for all the systems of the body. We also have to make sure that we're getting a balanced amount of electrolytes, so that we're getting our potassium from fruits and vegetables, as well as getting a small amount of sodium in the foods that we eat. We want to consume nutrient-rich foods. And the way I think about choosing foods is when we look at a food, we can say to ourselves, this food is either going to make us healthier or make us unhealthier. And we can look at it that way. If 90% of the foods we're eating are foods that are going to make us healthier, that are the natural, colorful foods that we find, such as fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, fish, if 90% of them are healthy foods, then we're in a great place. Nobody's going to be perfect, and we can't assume that we're going to get to 100% healthy foods. But we have to choose less options that are going to make us unhealthy, like fast foods or processed grains or sugars and bakeries and trans fat. In order to maintain a healthy weight, we need to do 3 things. We have to make sure that we're eating healthy, which we're learning in this class. We have to do a minimum of 30 minutes of cardiovascular activity every day, and we also have to do resistance training. So doing those 3 things on a consistent basis is what's going to get us to our normal body weight. We'll learn more about that when we talk about metabolism. But again, balancing what we eat with the activity that we're outputting. Some foods we need to minimize in our diet, and take a look at what we're eating and see if we need to decrease the sodium, the trans fat, the refined sugars, the refined processed grains, cholesterol, or alcohol. We need to start thinking of eating as a positive thing, and what should we and what can we eat, and what kind of foods we can put into our body to make us healthier. We have to increase all these foods we see highlighted on this slide. But again, think of food as something positive, something that is going to make us healthier, like fruits and vegetables and whole grains, lower fat dairy products, healthy protein, colorful healthy seafood, and lots of fiber. So we have to start thinking of eating healthy as a lifetime behavior. It's not something that we're going to go on a diet to lose weight and then go ahead and eat whatever we want after that, but it's kind of more of a behavior modification. We have to make sure that what we're eating is healthy, and we can eat a lot of that, but it has to be the healthier foods. We're now moving on to our food plate. And as you can see from this image, our food plate has 5 categories: fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy. What we want to see by looking at this plate is what a breakfast, lunch, or dinner would look like. And as you can see, about 3/4 of that plate is carbohydrates. We have fruit, vegetable, and grain. Those all contain carbohydrates. Remember that vegetables and whole grains are the complex carbohydrates. We also have a portion of protein and a portion of dairy. And those kind of foods are going to contain not only the protein, but also some amount of fat as well. What we're going to learn is how many servings in each of these food groups should you personally be eating each day. But it's a good image of what our plate should look like at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can take a moment to pause this video right now and read through the tips on what we can do in our life to make following the food pyramid and the food groups easier. Part of your assignment this week is to make a personalized food group plan, and you could do so on the website that's listed here, choosemyplate.gov. You want to log into the Super Tracker. There's a link for it in your learning module. But the goal of this assignment, what you're going to do is when you log into the Super Tracker, you're going to put your personalized information like your height, your weight, your gender, and so forth, and it's going to produce how many servings you should get in each of these food groups. And what I could say in general is most of us will be about 8 to 10 servings of grains per day. Probably about 4 to 5 vegetables per day, 4 to 5 fruits per day, 2 to 3 dairy foods, and 2 to 3 protein foods as well. It's important that we meet those recommendations in all categories, and if we did meet the recommendations in all categories, we would automatically know that we've gotten 100% of our RDA for the vitamins and minerals, and our percentages of carbs, protein, and fat would be broken down in the correct manner as well. So if we ate the minimum amount suggested for all of these food groups that are natural and healthy foods, we'd have all the nutrients we need to have a healthy body. Next, we're going to learn how to read food labels and how to read the ingredient list. It's vital to understand this because when you're consuming something, you want to know what you're putting into the body. So in order to be healthy, you must understand what you're eating. Now, what's on a food label is mandated by law, so it has to be placed on a label by the companies that are making it. And the first thing you should look for is the serving size, how big one serving is. And then also how many servings in that container. In this product, the serving size is 1/2 cup, and there's 15 servings per container. So let's say a person decided to eat the entire container. That would be 15 servings. So you would have to multiply all these numbers that you see on the screen by 15 in order to determine how many calories and so forth you're getting. In 1/2 cup of this product, you'd be getting 230 calories. And then it breaks down into the major nutrients. How many grams of fat, how many grams of carbs, and how many grams of protein. In this product, you're getting 11 grams of fat, and it also breaks down, is that the good or bad type? Well, there is no trans fat, 0 grams. There's 2 grams of saturated fat. So the rest would be healthy polyunsaturated or monounsaturated fat. So that's a good thing. Most of the fat in this product is a healthy type. The carbohydrates, it says 32 grams. Well, 18 grams of that is sugar. So the rest is going to be complex carbohydrates. So we have 32 minus 18, and that gives us 14 grams of the complex carbohydrates. Of those 14 grams, 3 of them are fiber, and that leaves us with 11 grams of the calorie-providing complex carbohydrates. And then we have 5 grams of protein. Also on food labels, it tells you a couple of vitamins, but it's not mandated by law that all of them are shown, so you can see the ones that are here: vitamin A, C, calcium, and iron. not only do we want to look at the food label, but we have to read the food ingredient list. And a food ingredient list is going to tell you what's in the product. The first thing listed is the most amount that's in the product, and then it goes down from there to the least amount of what's in the product. I always like to look at it this way. I'm going to look to see if the first three ingredients are healthy. Mostly I'm looking for the avoidance of anything that is a processed carbohydrate. So I want to avoid words that show flour or enriched flours. I want to also avoid anything that says hydrogenated oils, because that's trans fat. So what I'm looking for when I'm reading a label is it natural? Has it been processed or not? And I always want to make sure the first three ingredients are healthy and that we're not having chemicals or words in there that I can't pronounce. In this product, the first three ingredients are whole grain rolled oats, protein, and natural and artificial flavors. And here's a pretty horrible ingredient list. Here you have the first three ingredients being corn syrup, sugar, and hydrogenated oil. So if we're consuming this, it's going to be processed carbohydrates, it's going to be processed sugars, and also the trans fat. So this is one of the products that we would want to avoid. So just to summarize, it's important to eat from all 5 food groups each day. Choose natural, healthy foods. Try to get the amount of servings that is allocated for yourself that you found on the super tracker of food groups. And then we'll be assured that we're getting enough nutrient-dense, energy-providing nutrients in our diet every day.